We are in one of the most exciting times that have ever existed, but we're also in a very challenging time. And it's really along the lines of this need for validation and confirmation. Why is it that so many people have to have the approval of everybody in order to live the life they want to live? Let's talk about it. What's up, everybody? This is Dr. Zeb, your everyday life coach, and I provide you with practical tools for daily living so that you can transform tomorrow today. I've got an amazing topic that I want to just spend a couple of minutes and talk about. My videos have been running very long lately, so I'm going to try not to be long-winded today. But I want to talk about really this generation being destroyed for the need of validation and by the need of validation and confirmation and needing people to approve them. So I coined this video, no cosigner needed, and we're going to talk about that. But before we do, I want you to like this video. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Hit that little bell notification icon. You'll be notified every time we have a new video, new content posted. And certainly when we plan to go live in the future, we're still trying to do 2 videos a week and get really back in the routine. We're getting back in the routine of coaching now. And so the link is in the description of this video if you're interested in coaching as well. I've been in the coaching business for over 17 years, and so a lot of experience in this space. And so just really getting back into my groove of what I do, and it feels amazing here. But definitely make sure you check out the link and like this video, subscribe to this video. Now, let's talk about this. I think, in my opinion, it is weak to let the opinion of other people impact how you move. And if you are one of those people who thrives and can only thrive on the validation and the confirmation and the approval of other people in this social media society that we're in generation and time that we're in, you're going to be in trouble. You are. I know people who post pictures on social media and they'll take it down if they don't have a certain amount of likes over a period of time, or they'll post statuses or stats or quotes or whatever, and if a certain amount of people don't like them or share them, they take it down. And it's just such a sad time, because it's really a reflection of just how much so many people today really need the validation and confirmation of other people. We are, without a doubt, in one of the most challenging times when it comes to self-esteem. And social media, I really believe, in many ways feeds this. It really reveals and highlights the deficiencies that so many people have when it comes to self-esteem and how they really feel about themselves. Because I truly believe that some people have no validation outside of this space. And you know that when a person has to take 50 pictures just to post one, right? And I'm laughing because I used to hate taking pictures, but now I find myself, look at me, I find myself now, when I travel or I'm going places or whatever, I'm out hanging out, I find myself now, having people take pictures of me. And here I am, the one that criticizes everybody else for doing it, saying, no, take that over, right? Because we all want that perfect shot to go on social media. Why? Because we want to feel like the picture is worthy of being confirmed from others. But I think this really speaks to a larger issue, right? When we think about this, from social media to relationship goals, and that's good relationships, by the way. I'll talk about that in a section, to connections that we have. I need you to know this. You don't need approval to, number one, be who you are, and you don't need approval to have what you want. That's so important. I don't care if it's relationship goals, career goals, connections you have. I've got my journal here. And this is something I remembered today as I was preparing for this video. When it comes to being who you are and having what you have, you really don't need the validation or approval from nobody. And this is especially true when who you are and what you want are good things, right? I'm not talking about just raggedy relationships. I was teaching yesterday and talking a little bit about this. I'm not talking about if you are You're trying to connect with people who just aren't good for you, who don't add value to your life, real value to your life. You probably need confirmation for that. You probably need approval and validation for that. I'm not talking about that. But I'm talking about, for those quality folks that you are connected to in your life. Friendships. It may not always be romantic. Friendships, relationships, business partnerships, career moves. Those quality things that we move towards and gravitate towards in our lives that are of quality, that are good for us, that add value to us. You don't need confirmation for that stuff. And unfortunately, we just live in a time where people want so much confirmation to who they are and so much confirmation for what they want. And one of the things that I learned over this pandemic that really changed my whole entire life is that I realized I grew to a place where I didn't need the validation or confirmation from nobody when it comes to who I am, what I represent, what I believe in, what I stand for, and most importantly, what I desire for my life and the life of my children. And when you get to that place, you realize that approval is cool, right? It's cool when people approve you. Hey, they confirm what you did. Yeah, Zeb, I like what you're doing. Or, they confirm or approve, moves that you're making in your career, decisions you make in your personal life. It's cool that people approve it. But let me tell you something else. It's not always needed. Approval is cool. It's not always needed. And there is a certain level of growth that you come to when you recognize that if people approve what you do, and again, I want to make sure I'm making this caveat very clear. I'm talking about quality decisions. I'm not talking about piss poor decisions. You make piss poor relationship choices and you want people to validate it so that you feel better about it. That's a different topic for a different video. You don't need approval for that. You need a therapist. And I'm not being funny, I'm being honest. We don't make bad decisions, and expect people to validate those bad decisions. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you make quality decisions or you have quality decisions in front of you. The analogy that I gave yesterday in the context of relationships and dating was perfect. I'm probably going to go back to doing some lives on this. I've had a lot of requests over the last couple of weeks. My coaching is picking back up, and people have asked me to start going back live again and talking about different dating topics. It's something I enjoy doing, something I have experience in, it's something I failed in before, frankly. And failure is a great lesson if you learn from it. But especially in the context of relationships, some of you have chosen people not because they're great, but you've chosen them because they're safe. All right, being with them brings no challenge to you. And in many regards, not only are they safe, they're just not good for you. They don't add any value to you. Versus, taking a chance and being with the person who might be a challenge for you, who may bring a lot to the table that would introduce you to experiences you've never had, that maybe deep down inside you're a little fearful of and scared of, but it's going to really stretch you and grow you. Most times people won't jump into that water because they want people to approve them and push them. Hey girl, we got you. Hey guy, we got you. Go ahead and do it. But there's a certain level of growth where you get to where you don't need the approval of people. And when you get to that place, it's different because you recognize the difference and the power between being approvable on your own versus needing a cosigner. Think about credit, right? Ever bought anything? I know what it's like in the past after I bought things and needed a cosigner. In fact, the very first car that I bought that I probably shouldn't have bought after I graduated from undergrad, went and bought the truck, and my dad was my cosigner. It was a very expensive truck at that time, and I didn't need the truck. It was one of the dumbest purchasing decisions I've ever made. But my dad had to cosign me. Why? Because I didn't have the credit history. I had the income, but I didn't have the credit history to be able to stand on my own and buy that, right? I needed the support in order to have what I wanted. And when it comes to cosigners in our lives, many people are just searching for people to validate them and approve them and co-sign everything they do because they feel like deep down inside they don't have what it takes to stand on their own, to make a decision that's going to benefit them in a tremendously positive way without the approval of the masses. I discovered this, that there is nothing more attractive. There's nothing that pulls more into your life from an energetic perspective. There's nothing that pulls more into your life more than having the ability to put your foot down and make a decision, stand on that decision, and really care less who approves it or who doesn't. And I'm talking about good decisions, all right? Again, I want to just continue to make that caveat. And so when we think about this, it's important for us to know that when it comes to validation, you don't need people to approve you. You don't need people to co-sign you. You don't need people to be on your side and understand everything you do. But what you really need is the courage to understand that I have what it takes to not only decide what I want for my life, who I am, who I'm going to be, but to stand on that regardless of who understands, right? And so I've discovered this. When you live for the approval of people, you're gonna always be in a position where you never live the life you could live. Anytime you live your life living it for the approval of people, you will never live the kind of life you wanna live. And the reason you can't is because the life you will be living won't be your idea of your best life. It will be the idea that other people have for you of your best life. See, anytime you are living somebody else's life for their approval, you're not living your best life. You're living somebody else's idea for your life, right? Anytime you decide to accept something lesser because it's comfortable versus taking something greater because there's a season of discomfort that you may have to go through, you're not living your life to the max. You're living a very average life, right? And I'm not being mean. I'm being and I'm not being negative, by the way. I'm being very honest and straightforward because somebody's gonna watch this and realize, you know what? Maybe I should start making decisions that don't necessarily make me comfortable in the moment, but they make me happy in the long run, right? When you have that perspective when it comes to your life and the decisions you make, then you realize I don't need a co-signer to change my job, my career, especially when I'm going to a better career. I don't need a co-signer to enter into this relationship with a guy or a girl who really is incredible, who is everything that I've always desired to have and to make. I don't need the masses to understand it and co-sign and sign off on it. I have enough belief in myself to know that this is great for me. This is what I desire and it's gonna work, right? And so when you get into that space, you're in a totally different level of confidence and a totally different place where you're able to stand on your own. And that's when you see a difference because when approval and validation is at the core of what you need, then ultimately you're gonna end up settling. And I don't want you to ever forget this. And I may do a whole video. Let me just circle this so I don't forget. I may do a whole video on settling because I've discovered through my time in coaching folks and motivating people to really be the best version of themselves. And my kids are just standing here in front of me while I'm doing this video, trying to break my concentration. But anyway, I've discovered that when I've coached people and tried to help them become the best version of themselves, one of the things that I've discovered is this, that when you need approval, when you need a validation, oftentimes you're gonna settle. Almost always you're gonna settle. Why? Because when you need validation and approval from others, you're gonna probably make decisions that are not in the best interest of you. You're gonna make decisions in the best interest of the people around you or the people that know you, right? Or the people who may know of you, right? And anytime you start making decisions in the best interest of anybody but you, right? In the best interest of anybody's happiness but your own, in the best interest of anybody's comfort but your own, you are in essence going into this territory called settling. And when you begin to settle in your decision-making processes, you have already reached a place where you need the approval and the validation of other people. It's so critically important that we don't settle. See, when you're true to you, right? When you're really true to who you are and what it is that you like and what it is that makes you happy and what it is that makes you brings you joy, what it is that brings you good health and wellness to your overall being, then you understand this. It's literally impossible to meet the approval of everybody. One of the things that I came to the conclusion of over this pandemic, and it really changed my life, and that is my goal is not to make everybody happy. It's not. And this is especially true for people who have lived their lives making everybody happy. I've literally lived my entire life making everybody happy. Sometimes, pausing decisions that I should have made to make sure everybody else was comfortable, or delaying things that I wanted to do to make sure everybody else could do what they wanted to do. When you're one of those people, you get to a place where you realize, you know what? I can't make everybody happy. I can't please everybody. And the old saying is very true. A friend to everybody, or a person who tries to please everybody, ultimately ends up pleasing nobody. You can't please everybody at the same time. It's impossible. And people who need approval are attempting to do that. And what ends up happening is you end up putting what everybody thinks, what everybody wants for you, what everybody desires for you. You end up putting that first, and you end up putting your own needs on the back burner. And ultimately, you end up not being satisfied. And so I wanted to challenge you with this video to really take a hard look at yourself and ask yourself, am I doing things for the validation and the approval of other people? Or am I sincerely living a life that is bringing me real joy and gratitude because I'm doing the things I want to do, right? I'm living the way, or living in spaces, or going after projects, or being involved in career moves, or being involved in relationships, friendships that bring me joy, and less about what people are going to say or think. Because I'm telling you, ultimately, if your happiness really is the goal, right? If your happiness is really the goal for real, you're not going to spare making decisions at the approval of somebody else. You're just not going to do it. You're going to think about you first. And maybe this video just really is just an indictment for that. You know, none of this is in my notes. I'm about to wrap this up, but maybe this video really is just an indictment and a challenge for that. To get somebody to realize, especially if you've always lived your life putting everybody else first, to realize that in the process of doing that, the only thing that suffered has been you and your happiness. If you really want to be happy, if that career move is going to make you happy, do it. Do it. Stop waiting on the confirmation and approval of other people. Make a plan, set a plan, put the plan in action, and make it happen. If that relationship that you really desire might make some other people uncomfortable, they may not understand it, may not be what they would want for you. You do it. If it makes you happy, if it's a healthy relationship, if he or she is good to you, they love you with a pure heart, and absolutely adore the ground you're working on. I'm trying to tell you, in this relationship space, it's hard to find that. You better do it. Right? And stop waiting on the approval and confirmation of other people. And if you do that, I promise you, your life's going to feel better, because all of a sudden you're going to realize not only are you just living for you, you're living for your own happiness. And you are putting your happiness at the forefront of your life. And when you do that, and you make decisions that are good decisions, again, I can't stress that enough. You're making good decisions, and that's at the core of what you're doing. You can sleep well at night, knowing it doesn't matter who approves of your decisions or not, who approves of your moves or not. You're doing things from a genuine space based on who you are and based on what it is that you genuinely want to have for your life. Listen, if this video helped you, I want you to make sure you like it. Drop a comment in the comments area. Put a remark on this video. Let me know what you thought about it. I want you to like this video, and of course share this video as well. Subscribe to this channel, and then of course, can't leave this out. You got 2 jobs. You got to remember, 1, I want you to be better today than what you were yesterday. And 2, don't forget what I told you. Now go after it.